All right. Good evening, everyone. This is Priyanka Singh today with you for a very great topic: teaching ICT and computer education the NEP 2020 way. Since we all are educators here, I'm sure, so we all understand what is NEP. Anyone, those who don't know, you can please write your thoughts in the chat box, or you can give me a thumbs up if you know about it. That will be great. Um, so yes, of course, the National Education Policy (NEP) it came into being just few years back, but what a pleasant surprise to all of us. Not only for ICT and computers I'm talking, but it has totally changed whatever way we were doing the things previously, and it has revamped the idea of education and imparting education to our kids, to our children. So here today I will be talking about one specific domain, ICT and computer education, which we all understand. It comes under tech edu domain, which we can't ignore, right? So now the vision of NEP, the vision of National Education Policy is to integrate technology in various other subjects as well, so that all the teachers are combining their curriculum, integrating their curriculum with any tech tool, and then imparting that whatever knowledge they are having in their subjects, in their domain, but in a very refreshing and in a tech way. So here is my little bit of research, what I have, prepared for you. Let's start talking about it. Anywhere where you feel I'm going little fast, I'm going slow, you can always buzz me. It doesn't require any introduction. The topic is very clear. But the basic introduction, why there is a need of technology in NEP, why NEP is reinforcing tech to include in each and every domain. We all understand education in the digital age requires rethinking teaching practices. Gone were those days when we were just using chalk and board, when we were just using a simple uh, smart board, I can say is also very common nowadays. So when we were just using a simple whiteboard for teaching our classroom for imparting the lectures, but now we need to think beyond the boundaries, think beyond out of the box, how we can impart, how we can deliver the same topic, the same lecture in much differentiated manner. But why we are using this differentiated technique? Because the learners today are in variety. You in a single classroom, you get n kind of learners, where some are slow, few are very fast, and the other few will catch up the things, at a much faster rate. So you need to understand in a class of, let's say, 30 students you are getting. So you have differentiated learners. And of course, we have special students as well. So for such kind of mix of the classroom, you need to prepare your lesson plan thoughtfully. And you need to understand the technology. When we are integrating thoughtfully in our curriculum, it can transform teaching and learning, making it more interactive, inclusive, and learner centered. When I'm using the word interactive, why I'm saying it should be interactive. It should not be as such that it should not be the way that I'm just giving a lecture. You are going in your 40 to give a 40-minute lecture to a classroom. No, it's not like that. So you can't just go and deliver and then you come back. You need to have a connect with your students. You need to have a connect how your students are getting your things. Again, inclusive. As I said, in a classroom there is a lot of mix. Fast learners also, slow learners also, and special students as well with different abilities. So when we are having such a diverse mix of our students, we need to plan our curriculum, we need to plan our strategies accordingly. And here comes the technology for your help. The techniques which we should plan should be learner centered as well. Learners in this case is our students. So whenever we are planning anything, whenever we are planning with the technology, we are planning any lesson plan, the lesson plans techniques should be such that the learners are enjoying. They should not be feeling bored out of it, right? This is a simple example to showcase how earlier the classroom setup was and how, with a single domain of technology, the classrooms are changing. On the on one side, you can see the teacher is using a blackboard and she's teaching. All the learners are placed well and they are just copying and doing out the things. Now, the teacher is not using any tech tool. She is not paying attention if the students are grasping it, if they are finding it too boring. Whereas, on the other hand, when the teacher is using a lot of tech tools, first of all, the things are working for both the sides. It's a win-win situation. Why I'm saying it's a win-win situation? Because it works for both sides. The teacher also gets, very good kind of curriculum, very good kind of technologies to give it to your students. And plus, this teacher also saves a lot of time while improvising the lesson plan. So you're simply imparting any lecture, or if you are researching and then making your lesson plan with the help of any tech tool, it requires, of course, it requires a lot of time to research. But then when you are imparting it, you will be so confident, you will be so well doing it. And then the happiness with your students, you will find that the students are finding your lectures, not your lectures very boring, but finding your interaction very interesting. Here now I'm changing the word lecture from interaction. So this is the way your classroom transforms totally. Again, I'm not saying that you use technology in, to completely revamp your classrooms, but yes, wherever it is required, you can pull out any tech tool, whichever of your choice, and then you can save your time as well. So that's a very best thing that you can do with your traditional classroom to transform it to a smart classroom. When we are talking about NEP, so we can't ignore the vision for digital education. Now, how NEP has evolved digital education, how it has used the technology, the digital education to be used in various domains. It has advised the various use of technology as an enabler of quality and equity. So, whenever you are using tech, when you are bringing any tech tool in your classroom, you are improvising the quality of your learners. You are building up the equity of your organization. It also encourages promotion of blended and online learning. Blended, as we all know, it's a mix of learning. You can go many times offline, you can go many times online as well. So, here the technology plays a very important role. Whenever you are working in an offline mode, you can always take help from various n number of sources, be it open source or be it a closed one, it's a paid resource. And whenever you are working in an online environment, you have n number of tools with you. So, NEP always encourages to have technology in your hand. It provides digital support for teachers' professional development. Trust me, the from since the time NEP has come into picture, we teachers are getting too much of professional development. Workshops like this, workshops in your school, workshops conducted by various education boards. It is helping all the teachers to upskill themselves. And it is not a small task, it's not an easy task. While you are, away from your students, you are still working on your own self so that next day you can provide, you can give them a better way of learning. Creation of NDER, it's a very beautiful architecture, it's a very beautiful forum, National Digital Education Architecture, wherein you can interact with your peers, wherein you can get so much of resources as well. So please note this down, and after the workshop, you can do more research on NDER and you can go and visit the website as well. Now, the national education policy, when it came into being, it laid down certain policies that we need to understand. We need to see how it is comparing the things. So it is the comparison of an information and communication technology to transform the Indian education system, enhancing access, quality, and inclusivity. So here, three factors are taken into being. Everybody can access the resources. Everybody access a quality resource and all are there, inclusive, right? So it is all in all, it takes everybody together. Now, when we talk about NEP, it integrates technology. It recognizes the critical role of technology in education, advocating for the use of digital tools in classrooms. When I'm saying digital tools, there are n number of tools which you can also incorporate, like Microsoft tools, Google platforms tools are there. Then there are n number of open source tools are as there as well. PowerPoint. If we talk about simple PowerPoint, you are giving your lecture, reading out a book, but there is no need that way. If you want, you can prepare a PowerPoint. There are so many AI tools available nowadays. You can just simply give prompts, write a prompt, and it can create so much wonderful content for you. So, educators, this is my request, start working on such kind of tools, and you will be amazed to see the result. You will see that how quickly your work gets done. And of course, you need to filter out, you need to see what content the content has been generated and what content you need to give it to your students. So you can do that. Online learning platforms, platforms like here we are talking, we all are interacting. So platforms like this will also help you in, upskilling yourselves, and blended teaching methods. Now, this integration aims to improve educational outcomes and make learning more accessible. In my previous slide, I have talked about NETF. It is a policy that proposes the establishment of the NETF to promote research and development and innovation in digital education. So basically, it's a forum, as I said earlier also, wherein you can collaborate, wherein you can see various policies that are in process, and wherein you can see various resources as such. Infrastructural development. NEP majorly talks about infrastructure as well in technology domain. If you are not having a robust digital infrastructure to support your ICT integration, to support the learners to come, sit and work on computers, you will not be giving them a proper atmosphere to learn. So it includes the development of high quality e-learning material as well, digital content and online teaching platforms to cater to diverse learning needs. So basically, when I'm talking about high quality e-learning materials, so this either you can create on your own, or you can take help from your IT expert, from your ICT teachers to help you to curate those content and then to impart it to your students. Moving ahead, teacher training, a very, very important area which we can't ignore at all. So not the, as we all say, not all students are on same scales. Similarly, not all educators are also on same scale to utilize and effectively use technology. I have met, trust me, I have met few educators before COVID telling me that, ma'am, we are okay, we are fine giving taking us classroom classes, simply reading out from the book or talking with the students. We don't need any kind of support, e-tech support. And when the COVID struck, they all were on board. They all were working hard to get on board and to start working on the technology factor. They learned, they upgraded themselves, and now they are the ones who are the torchbearers of this. So, COVID has taught us that without the technology, we can't survive. We need to have it. Doesn't matter if we are using it small, if we are using it in a large amount. So, definitely, wherever you get, whenever you get time to upskill yourself from wherever you can, please, this is my request to everyone. Do upskill yourselves. Whatever tech tools you can learn, please do learn. No tech tool is small or big. If you, I request everyone to please mute yourself. If you think that working on PowerPoint still is a very basic thing, please don't think that. PowerPoint is also a very beautiful tool where you can learn, where you can upskill, where you can make beautiful creations. So I'm just giving you an example. I'm just encouraging you to please come on board and to please start using any tech tool of your choice. Addressing challenges, while NEP 2020 promotes the use of ICT, it also acknowledges challenges such as inadequate infrastructure. Not all Not everywhere we can find that the infrastructure is prim and proper. There are digital literacy gaps and accessibility issues for disadvantaged groups. So, the policy advocates for strategic interventions to overcome these barriers and ensure equitable access to digital education. Wherever you find that it's not proper to uh, fill those gaps, where it is not proper, the infrastructure is not proper, you can ask your management, you can ask your uh, seniors to give you that uh, infrastructure wherein you can learn such kind of tools. Personalized learning. The integration of ICT is seen as a means to facilitate personalized learning experience. It allows students to learn at their own pace and according to their own individual needs. Nowadays, there are so many open source platforms, there are so many paid platforms as well, where you can simply just go, you can do login, and you can do self paced courses, right? So such kind of platforms were not existing earlier, but now it has mushroomed everywhere. So why can't we use such platforms for ourselves as well and for our students as well? So these the best part of these tools, there is absolutely no need for any mentor, there is absolutely no need for any guide all the time. These are self-paced, you can facilitate your learning on your own. Moving ahead, I'm talking about technology. I'm talking about NEP NEP talks about this. NEP talks about technology. NEP talks about increasing digital infrastructure. NEP talks about upskilling the teacher. But why is the need to integrate digital technology? We were teaching earlier. Children were learning earlier as well. Then what comes the need now? There is absolutely a very urgent need for all this. Why? When we talk about teaching learning platform, when we talk about student experiences, when we talk about connect, when we talk about collaboration, when we talk about our happy classrooms, we should understand that the happy classrooms, the connect, the collaboration can't be made in a single step. It needs to have a complete process, a complete inclusion of tech tool as well, which enhances the engagement of the learners in your particular subject. Oh, this particular maths teacher comes in the classrooms and always give us sums, 10, 20 sums, and always ask us to just solve it in our notebook. Your students are already prepared what you are going to do. But on the other hand, if the same maths educator next day is going with a quiz, already prepared on any tech tool, let's say Kahoot, it will come as a surprise to the students. Oh, sir has prepared something on digital tool. Let's see what it will be. Let's solve it to get the position on the leaderboard. Such kind of excitements motivates the students to do well. Now the shift now the shift of the students will be shifted temporarily on a temporary basis from the subject specific to tech domain specific. And trust me, integrating technology with your subject will increase the excitement, will increase the involvement of the student multifold. Third day, you are again with your sums and all, student will do it happily because they have got a break in between the regular schedule. They have got a break of they have got a fun excitement of your Kahoot quiz. So please do that. Take my words. If you are including such kind of tech surprises, your students, your classrooms excitement will just increase to next level. It's suppose learner-centered pedagogy. Any tech tool, any digital technology you talk about, it's always talk about the learner's way. Of course, while we teachers are using it, we will feel happy to use that tech tool in our curriculum as well. And definitely it develops 21st century skills. What are 21st century skills? Nothing but collaboration, communication, making a connect with your students. Right now, we are communicating. I have used a tech tool to design my content for you for this workshop and to make it readable, to make it more accessible to you. So this would never had been possible if I'm just reading out the things from my book. Okay, so please understand that digital technology is just not limited to PowerPoint, is just not limited to Microsoft Word, but anything which you are using to support your learners, to make a connect with your learners, that comes under your digital tech. SAMR, I would request to please write down this so that you can do a research on this a little later. While I was doing my research on NEP for this presentation, I came across this particular framework, a very interesting framework. So I thought, why not I share this with you? Now, what is SAMR? Basically, it's combination of all the words which is written in front of you. It's a framework designed to help educators integrate technology into teaching and learning, and it consists of 4 levels. S stands for substitution, A is for augmentation, M is for modification, and R is for redefinition. So these are the levels. These are not interconnected, but yes, these are different levels wherein you can see if you are using technology, on which level you are standing, on which level you, as in while you have integrated your lesson plan with technology, on which scale, on which level you are there. So let's understand these levels one by one. When I say you are on substitution level, technology acts as a direct substitute with no functional change. So when you have used it, you have used it. There is absolutely no change in that. You have used it directly for your particular function. For example, for this is PowerPoint instead of a chalkboard. While you are writing anything on a chalkboard, but now you don't want to write, you have used a technology tool, PowerPoint. Typing assignments instead of writing, PDF textbook instead of a printed book. Now, how NEP has aligned, it has given an initial exposure to digital tools to improvise the access, right? So when you are designing your lesson plan, you are putting up all these things. Then your lesson plan, if you are just using PowerPoint to impart a particular lecture, you are asking your students, instead of writing, you can open MS Word, you can type in over there, and you can just take it in their OneDrives and all. This is a basic kind of tech level which you have included. And now you are standing on a substitution level. Trust me, it's a very beautiful framework. Please do research about it. The next level which I'm going to talk about is augmentation. Now, what is augmentation? Here, when the technology is substituting with a functional improvement. Examples, you have designed a very beautiful PPT with images, animations, putting up a video also. So here you are working more with technology. You have asked your students to put your document in a Google Doc so that the Google Doc do automatically the spell check and comment on it. So you have advanced a level up. You have used online quizzes for instant feedback. The way NEP has aligned this, improvise learning efficiency and engagement. Your students are more involved. Your students are more engaged in your lesson plan. This is the augmentation level of SAMR. Modification, technology allows significant task redesign. So whatever you are using, particular step, you have redesigned a task with taking a help from tech tool. Let's say collaborative projects using Google Classroom. You have finished your subject, or you are towards the end of your particular topic. Now you want to do it a project-based learning with your students. You have asked your students to collaborate with each other and put up everything in a Google Classroom. This way, while you are away, still you can keep a check. You can keep a eye on their work, and this way they can collaborate as well while they are not in physical presence with each other. Students creating digital presentations or blogs wherein they are creating on their own, they are creating the stuff on their own, and they are putting it up for the public use. Peer feedback through online platforms, they are now open for the feedback, they are now open for more learning. So it promotes experiential and collaborative learning. Trust me, these two words, experiential and collaboration, these are the two buzzwords nowadays for today's learning platforms. You design anything with your uh, course structure, you are taking any topic, but you are not involving activity, you are not introducing, you are not designing your lesson plan with any activity, you are not using any thought about collaborative learning, your lesson plan will fall flat. Your students will not enjoy your lessons. They will not be looking forward for your class. So just to make the excitement level up, just to make the learners be happy in your classroom, just to make the learners excitement and also the subject control, you need to understand that experiential learning and collaborative learning is very, very, very much required. And technology plays a very pivotal role for these two particular thoughts. Moving to the last level, redefinition, technology enables entirely new learning tasks, previously impossible. So, if you were thinking that no, if I will be making an online tour, if I ask my students to visit this particular museum on an online platform, that will not be possible. How will I do it? The students will not like it. No, gone are such those days. Now there are virtual labs, now there are simulation labs. Global collaboration with students from other regions are there. Students created videos, podcasts, and digital portfolios. These three activities, trust me, these are three very wide area where you can explore your things. Science, social science teachers, please go and use virtual labs with your students. If you want to show, it's I have seen that science educators, they take their students to science lab to carry out the experiments, but not always. Whenever there is something very, which can't be done in a theory class, sorry, then they take them to the practical labs. But let's say if you are teaching your student a concept of resistor and the other thing, and it's not in front of you, they are so puzzled that what is a positive node, what is a negative node, how to connect the two. Go to virtual lab, show the simulation to them then and there on your smart board. You will be amazed to see that how such virtual labs have simply curated all these experiments for you. They can have their wires over there, they can connect with the various resistors and capacitors, and then they can see what will be the effect of this particular pin if they are joining. This I'm just taking an example for the science teachers. Similarly, for the science teacher, there are n number of other examples also. Water cycle, digestive system, everything you can showcase using the virtual labs. For social science teachers, Google Earth, Google Maps is one such handy tool where you can show beautiful Himalayas. You can have a walkthrough on in the Louvre Museum to the Taj Mahal while sitting from your classroom only. Google Maps you can use, you can pinpoint, you can show the longitude, latitude, how it works, equator, how it is passing to the various regions. So all these things will make sense when the students are actually watching it. Just only talking about it will not do. They will start visualizing it. They will start experiencing it. And when they start experiencing it, then it will make a difference in your subject. Global collaboration with the students of maybe a different school within the country or a different school outside the country. Common exchange programs. Gone were those days again where I will say that we were traveling, we keep on traveling and we were having these exchange programs physically. But nowadays it can be done very well if you are connected using a technology. Platforms like MS Teams, platforms like this, Zoom, platforms like various other EdTech experts, you can utilize and you can ask the students of different schools to come and see the things which you are doing already here. So, such kind of platforms, such kind of techniques, when you are using, you are building up the excitement in your classroom. You can ask your students to create short videos, podcasts, and digital portfolios. So these things are very much in nowadays, and trust me, students work way more smarter on all these things than us. So you can give a small topic to your students and ask them to make a small video about it. You will be amazed with the results. Ask them to edit the video and then publish it on YouTube. Ask them to edit the podcast and give it to you. You can include them all these in their digital portfolios as well, right? So this sparks innovation, this sparks creativity, this sparks the 21st century skills. So when we are working on redefining our lesson plans, when we are working on this level, then we are at the highest level of the tech integration in our topics. So these were the levels, and I must say that beautiful concept given by NEP. This slides just talk about the example, classroom example. The topic, the subject here is mathematics, and I have already given you examples how you are using it, but just to explain it one more time. In mathematics, any topic, if you are explaining with a simple PPT, explaining the concept, you are on a substitution level. You are using a lot of animations and quizzes, you are on an augmentation level because you have included a better way to do that. So you are augmenting it. Modification students solve. Now here the shift is going from teacher side to learner side. Students are solving problem collaboratively online, right? So this is a modification. You have modified the way teaching is happening. Redefinition, students are creating tutorials, videos, or simulations. They are working on simulations, they are working on VLabs. So this is the concept, classroom example in mathematics example subject. When we talk about the languages, languages can be any. So if you are asking a digital text instead of a book, you are on substitution. If you are doing an audio visual reading, you are on augmentation level. Collaborative story writing, there are n number of tools which you can give it to your students so that they can write a story, they can write a extract collaboratively. Then you are on modification level. You are asking your students to create a podcast or a blog. You are redefining. So you are on redefinition level. I'm sure this must, by these examples, you are clear how to use it. These are just not any levels wherein you feel that, oh, I'm on substitution, I'm not doing anything. No. The idea is just to motivate you so that you understand if you are using a particular type of tech, on which level you are there, and then how to raise your bar, right? Now, teaching digital concepts beyond rote software use. There are n number of softwares. There again, we are using it on a daily basis. So that also makes classrooms little boredom. Okay. Your students will not be very happy using the same thing again and again. So the shift from rote memorization to skill-based learning is a significant change in the educational landscape. Nowadays, schools are increasingly adopting AI-driven tools and structured learning methods to prepare students for real-world challenges. AI is everywhere. You name a thing, you think about a particular topic, you just give a prompt with your in your AI platform. You just search about it and everything is there, will be there in front of you. But while you are doing this, this approach not only enhances academic performance, but also equips students with the skills needed to navigate life complexities. So let's say I'm asking you to do a particular coding program using a block-based coding. It's not just simply you are teaching them block-based programming, but you are teaching them a process. You are teaching them if there is a situation, how you can make the situation solve the situation with various solutions. So using the technology, you can integrate such kind of real world problems as well. Now, interactive learning, when you are using digital tools, when you are using tech, you are making it in you. The aim should be you should make it more interactive. Schools are actually moving away from traditional rote learning to interactive, practical, and skills driven learning. Because gone are those days, as I said, that teachers goes and just talking and talking. No. Ideally, how a classroom should be 70% teacher is quiet and 30% she is listening, which means the students are talking more. They are taking part in your conversation. They are initiating the things, but you are there as a facilitator. You are there as a guide. You are there as a mentor. You are not just a teacher there. You are just enhancing their learning experience. So how you can do that? You can use AI powered question banks. You can have that structures the lesson plan and promotes deeper learning and problem solving skills. But again, I will say, whenever you are using AI, whenever you are using any tech tool, please analyze the content critically before delivering, before giving it to students. Or if your students are curating any content, it should be going out under your supervision, right? That is very, very, very important. Competency based education. Now, this method moves away from grade based assessments to skill based evaluation, ensuring that students are evaluated on their actual abilities rather than just their memorization. So, if I talk about a simple, let's say I have given a program to my class and I have asked them to do this particular program. Few students will do exactly the same way which the teacher has taught. Few students will do it in a different way. But if the output is correct, if it is giving you a proper right output, the program is absolutely fine. It doesn't nowhere it means that the student has not performed well. So this is the competency of the student, that the student has thought out of the box. The student has thought in a different way so that the program is performed in a different way. Because your output is correct, your output is same, so you will mark it as correct. So understand such kind of competency you need to develop in your students. So we are not no more we are checking them on their rote learning abilities, we are checking them on their abilities which is there based on their competencies. Now, when I talk about the other things, encouraging students to ask questions and exploring topics independently. This approach enhances problem solving skills and analytical thinking. There is an English teacher. She entered to a classroom and started reading a paragraph. Students are surprised. They are not understanding what the teacher is reading out. So the teacher is just busy in delivering a lecture. Let's change this scenario. Teacher enters the classroom. She has already prepared a small presentation, a small video based on the paragraph, based on the extract, and she plays it over there. Students watch the video. Based on the video, she gives 4 to 5 questions to the students so that they can start thinking. And she asks them as a homework that please write your answers, go back home, write your answers based on the video which you have seen. So, how now what the students will do? They will definitely start thinking about the question. They will not refer anywhere to any book, but then rather they will refer to the video which you have played. So they will think about what content is being played in front of them and they will start then writing about those questions. So this way you are making them to think, to analyze a situation. Right? This is very important. And please do start doing that if you are not doing it. Language teachers, if anyone here, so please do this. Project-based learning. Students engage in real-world projects that require research, critical thinking, and teamwork, providing practical knowledge and application skills. This I'm sure we all must be doing because nowadays every term, every Here we need to give a project while we are delivering the things, so we need to give a project to our students as well. So when the students are doing a project, they are engaged with the real world projects. So this way they will do research, they will analyze, they will do teamwork, they will learn how to work in a team, and this way they will start thinking critically. So this is very important. Collaborative learning, technologies always encourages collaboration. You take any tool, Google Classroom, Microsoft Team, it all supports collaboration. You are just putting up a quiz, you are just putting up a uh, assessment or an assignment up in a Microsoft Team. You ask your students to work on it collaboratively ahead of their schedules, apart from their regular schedules. They will find out a little time to come online and to talk to each other. So this way they will collaborate for a particular cause. Adaptive learning with AI. AI customizes lessons based on a student's progress, ensuring personalized learning experience. So I will again take example of language classroom. Not all learners are very fast learners. They will learners, as in say, when you are giving them a paragraph to read, some are very slow readers, some are very fast readers. But how a teacher will come to know? Of course, with 2 3 classes, you will come to understand that yes, this particular student is not able to read properly. He or she needs much more time, much more practice. But you can't give that much time one on one to each and every students. Here you can use tools like Reading Coach. Reading Coach is a tool directly by Microsoft wherein it customizes the speed, it customizes the content, the text as per the complexity level of the learner. If a learner is too slow to understand to read the paragraph, it will provide a simple content. It will then analyze the speed and everything, and it will tell the teacher how the student has performed. So just see how while you are away, you are still working. You are still working, you are still mapping the gap of the student's learner in that particular subject. So trust me, if you are using Reading Coach in your language classroom, it will help you a lot. Now these modern teaching techniques are designed to enhance engagement, collaboration, and personalized learning, preparing students for a future that is more knowledge driven and changing quickly. So we all understand, we all know this, that we need to prepare 21st century skills learners. We are not just preparing dummies, we are not just preparing rote learners so that they just go and write the exam and it's done. No. We need to prepare them for critical thinking. We need to prepare them for collaboration. We need to make them work in team so that when they are going out, they are a smart ones. They are not just the simply the machines that are not understanding and then working on commands. No, we are not doing that, right? Building computational thinking and logical reasoning. Now, when I say computational thinking and logical reasoning, what is computational thinking? Is it just working with the numbers? Is it just working with the programs? Is it just working with the code? Or is it just solving the algorithm? No, 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 not at all. When your mind has started thinking, you have started making the puzzle clear. When you have started making the moves clear, when you are started analyzing the things, you have started thinking logically. Be it any subject, if you are not following the process, if you are not following the procedure, you are not encouraging your learners to think logically. So you need to develop problem solving and algorithmic thinking skills in your learners. Give them tasks where they are encouraged to think. Give them tasks where they are encouraged to solve a problem. Connect your assignments with real world situations. For this, you can research a lot on Google. You can research on any platform. You can use help of AI. So case studies involvement is very, very, very much important. If you are not involving case studies, it will not be helpful in, to prepare the learners for the real world challenges. Use unplugged activities and coding exercises when I'm just simply talking about tech subject. So use coding to solve the problems. Integrate, sit with your colleagues. Let's say maths teacher sitting with a tech teacher, science teacher, maths and technology teachers are sitting together. They are integrating the lesson plans. They are designing an interdisciplinary activity where they have designed a real world situation which involves math concept also, science concept also, and it can be solved using any tech tool. Trust me, students will feel amazed to do this. They will start thinking, oh yes, इसमें तो maths भी है, इसमें science भी है, and we are learning, we are working with so many topics. Use Scratch as a tool for your block-based programming. Use MIT App Inventor. I can give you n number of tools for your all the subjects for n number of activities. But it is you who need to do that. And if I am encouraging you, then you will be encouraging 10 more other teachers as well. So please start doing that. This is very much required. Encourage step-by-step thinking and debugging. There is a big problem as a case study. The student is not feeling very happy about it. So he just gives up that I can't solve this case study. I can't solve this assertion and reasoning problem. I'm sure you all understand that NEP encourages competency-based questions, and 70% our question paper should be competency-based. That means there should be a lot of thinking situations. There should be a lot of thinking problems there. Assertion reasoning is one such type of question-based problems where you can give it to your students that this statement, is it supporting the other statement or not? If it is correct or not. So they will think about it. They will think, they will react, they will analyze, they will discuss, and they will come to you. There are many examples for the same, like pattern recognition games. This is for smaller classes. Flowchart creation. Flowchart creation will clear the mind. Be it any problem, if the student is able to define it properly, if the student is able to pictorially represent it properly, then it can be solved easily. And moreover, as I said, block-based coding platforms, it works wonder. Integrating ethics, cyber safety, and digital citizenship. Oh, this is such a wide topic, and I can speak non-stop about it. Nowadays, digital citizenship, digital safety, cyber safety, you say it with any name. Coming on a platform, coming on a social network, but if you are not aware about the cyber safety protocols, if you are not aware about the digital citizenship, if you are not doing it ethically, then how will you encourage your learners to do that? We can use technology to n number of amount. We can use technology to for n number of activities. But if we are not using it responsibly, if we are not using ethically, how we will be how we will be building up a future. Please make students understand that proper use of tech space is very, very, very much required. I'm not saying that you should go to their house, teaching them all these things, monitoring them all way around. No, this is out of our hands. We can't do that. Especially for educators, I'm talking. But under your supervision, you can tell them what is correct, what is not correct. They should use licensed software. They should use proper policies while they are on public platforms. They should not be using any social networking app or website if it is not allowed. And moreover, now we know countries like Australia and all, they have banned social media for our teenagers, then why we are encouraging it? So you need to take parents also in confidence for this. Please arrange workshops in your school for cyber safety. Talk about cyber safety. Invite any guest for this particular thing, so that parents also are aware about the ethical use. Not everyone is so good. Not everyone is so aware that what is happening in the digital space. So it is our responsibility, it is our duty to make them understand that how to use it properly. And as an educator, as a learner, also, we should also know that if we are using the technology, we are using it ethically. If I have copied a content from somewhere, I'm putting it up my presentation, but I haven't taken the source. I haven't written the source of the particular content. I'm not an ethical user. I am plagiarizing. So please encourage your learners while they are picking up the content, they are watching any content. First of all, it should be age appropriate. Secondly, it should be taken care of that if using somebody else's content, you are giving a thank you note to it. You are not just making it complete use for by yourself. Okay. Cyberbullying and digital empathy. Cyberbullying, I'm sure, uh, is a very big area, and we all understand that. I'm sure we all understand that. So, cyberbullying, we need to take care. If we are asking everybody, if we are using so much of technology in our subject, we are again and again, I have asked you to work in collaboration. So, collaboration means that students are working together. And of course, wherever they will work together, there will be a lot of discussions. So, nowhere it should be done in such a way that the other is feeling bad, the other one is hurt, nobody is getting bullied, nobody is saying any bad word to anyone. And it's not only in verbal way, non-verbally also, nobody should shame any other. So, this also we need to take care. And if anybody is doing such, it's our duty as an educator to report it further and to make that particular student understand that this is wrong. If you need to take little hard steps for this, please do that. Please make cybersecurity councils in your organization so that the students who are involved in the cybersecurity councils, they are also taking care, because as a teacher you also can't be there every time asking the students what they are doing, how they are working. No, make sure that nobody is putting up any kind of external storage mediums in a public in your school's computers, because if they are getting their own pen drives, they are putting it up there, it can carry virus, it can carry anything, and it will come on you. So please make sure that you are using cloud softwares for your particular use. Encourage your students also to use OneDrive, to use Google Drive for storage and for taking up the things. So this is a very, very sensitive topic, and if we can talk about cyberbullying and digital empathy in another separate session, that will be very great, right? And I would really love to take your cyberbullying session as well, because I myself, I work as a cyber safety ambassador. And I take care. I have imparted much of the training programs to the students and to the teachers as well on this. So definitely, if we can make this cyberbullying stop, if we can make this a very, what we say, everybody aware about it. So once everybody is aware, it will automatically be curbed down. And trust me, we are using technology, but still cyberbullying cases are very high in right now in our particular system. So please do take this thing very seriously. Privacy and data protection. you need to, as a facilitator, it's your responsibility to protect the data, to protect your organization's data. So, whatever, wherever, and whatsoever way you are using it, you are saving it, please do save it in your hard disk. Use it properly. Don't transfer the hard disk and don't use it, don't attach it to various other computers, because it will not be protected and your virus attacks and any other XYZ attacks can also happen. So you need to have a proper backup as well, and please protect your data also. You are not supposed to share this. I am also talking about organization point of view. Organization is not supposed to share students' data, be their private information, let's say their phone numbers, their address, their other details, to any other XYZ organization. If it is happening, you need to make sure that it is happening under the supervision. There are proper contracts for that. And if, let's say, there are nowadays, there are many competitions, there are many areas where we need to give the students data, you are getting a signed contract with them that it will not be used for any other purpose other than the purpose which you are sharing. Social media privacy and data protection policies are also there. If you are capturing student for any particular video, for any particular shoot, you you not as an educator, but you as an organization should take consent from the parent that if they are okay, their students, their children photos to go out in social media, then they can give you consent, and it is a very good thing to have you as a consent form as in a backup. So please do that if you are not doing it. I have definitely included this in my school's social media policy. It is one of the thing that we always do whenever we are starting with our new ACAD session. We roll out the form to all the parents, and if any parent is not comfortable making the students photograph going out in the social media platform, let's say Facebook and Instagram, then we make sure that it's not going out there. So it is definitely a responsibility, so please talk about it to your stakeholders. Online etiquette and digital footprint, very much required. If we are using technology platform, if we are using tech tools, we should know how to behave. We should know how to be there present actually, right? Let's say if I'm talking to you, I have not switched on my camera. It's not a good way to start the communication, because I am here as your facilitator. I am here as your uh, speaker for this workshop. So if I am switching my camera, I am not encouraging enough you to come here on board and have a word with me. So whenever we are working collaboratively, please encourage your learners to switch on the camera. This is very basic thing which I am talking to you. There are a number of other things. Language issue. Whenever we are talking to each other on a digital platform, ask them to use etiquettes. Be in a proper manner. Use the words thank you and please a lot. We can't abuse each other on an online platform. We can't be abusive in our verbal language, and also we can't be writing harsh as well. So if we are not liking anything, it's always better to be quiet, and later on you can maybe share your thoughts and ideas with the person separately. But internet domain, internet platform, whichever thing goes once, it is always there. This we all understand, the digital footprint. So this we should ask our learners also to follow, and we should tell them that whichever teenagers, let's say we are taking teenagers into a picture, they want to come on social media, they want to use Instagram a lot, putting up pictures of their various poses and make so that they goes viral. But we need to make them understand the pros and cons of it. Okay, it's fine that you are going famous, you are showcasing yourself on the social media platform. But what if it gets in the wrong hands? Once the picture is there in the internet, it can't be deleted. So this we need to teach them. So think and then post. If it is not required, please don't put up the things on internet. So this is the way, once the footprint is there digitally, it can't be erased. So as a facilitator, we should teach them all these nitty-gritties, because they are young minds. They are in their, upcoming youth. They will not understand that, oh, if I'm not putting up this particular picture, what will happen? Nothing. But there are many cases where just a sheer misuse of one picture has laid the student life in a trouble. We all can research about it. You can go back, check news and all these things. So please make sure that as a tech facilitator, as a cyber security ambassador, you are talking about it. And this is my request to everyone. Please, please, please dedicate your time on this for sure. Coming out of it, use real life scenarios and role plays. So if you are using real life case studies, you are incorporating a sense of connection in your classrooms, right? Assessing ICT learning using competency based methods. As I said, NEP talks a lot about competency. So it says that now your question paper should also, 70% of the question should be based on your competency based. So what is competency basically? You are improvising the skills, the abilities of the students to do much more better. You are not just preparing them for routine tasks, routine learning, but then you are preparing to analyze in a much more better way, to make them understand, to make them think in a much more better way. So, how you can do that? Focus, these are the some basic methods. Focus on masteries of skills over time spent. How to master one particular topic? Of course, by practicing, but practicing in various different ways. One day you can give them a small paragraph to read. The other day, for the same subject, you can show them a video. Third day, you can show them a video, give them questions. Fourth day, you can give them a quiz based on that particular portion which you have covered. So, this way, you are making them understand in what other different ways the topic can be asked. And the last one, you can always assess them using your pen and paper method or your formative assessments. Use rubrics and perform tasks for assessment. As I said, you can do formative and summative assessment anytime. Summative assessments, we all understand, happens twice in a year. But formative, you can do during any time of your lesson plan, in the middle of your subtopic which is finished. You can check with the students with this very simple quiz if they have understood or not. And later you can do summative assessment to get a detailed understanding of their subject. Personalized learning path using ICT tools. So you can always curate a customized learning path for different learners. There are many adaptive learning platforms which you can use. Microsoft also offers one such, so you can go ahead and use that. Digital portfolios. Now, what are digital portfolios basically? Earlier, we used to have let's say, a record file of a student. So over the years, what they have done, we used to record it in that record file. And once the student is going out, we need to hand over. But nowadays, instead of all this file, pen and paper work, what we can do, we can have a portfolio of the student on a digital platform. So you can prepare you can do a SWOT analysis of the student, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. You can include the good work, whatever the work the student has done in various subjects. If not that great, if the student has done quite a few projects, collaborative, real world problems it has solved, so you can include that in that particular digital portfolio. So this way you are preparing a 360-degree bird's eye view of the student. How it will help? Once the student is leaving, you can hand over the digital portfolio to the student. Student, while applying to different colleges, they can give reference to this digital portfolio to those colleges. And trust me, colleges are taking a lot of care going through these digital portfolios. So, this way, you are shaping up the student also to select a particular subject stream, because by the time student finishes grade 10th, he or she will understand what particular areas they are good into and what they can make it much more better. So if we have a complete record digitally, the teachers can also suggest what subjects you can pick up in your senior secondary level. So this way it acts as a career option picker as well. So it's a very beautiful way to curate and to guide the students for their uh, undergrad and post graduation programs. Peer and self assessment. So, competency based also talks about peer and self assessment. So, you can give quiz so that you can check how the overall class is performing, and you can give various questions so that the student is learning for their own, learning for analyzing their own self. So, that is also very much important. So, these methods actually help a lot. Using ICT in all this will help you. You means as an educator. It will be taking not much of your time, but while you are using ICT, you are actually helping yourself to provide that kind of platform to your organization where it can make 21st century learners for the future. Few other things for the teacher's point of view, training programs, as I said, implementing teacher training program based on OER, open educational resources. So the educational resources which are curated by a person or an organization, we are not talking about that, but the educational resources which are open, to be accessed by everyone. So that material we can use to support in the teachers training program. So a lot of workshops we can conduct, wherein we can teach the ICT tools to all the kinds of teacher. And it should not be that we are doing it 2 hours or 3 hours a day or a week. No. Half an hour, 1 hour, if we are sitting, if you know one particular tool, you can teach the rest of the other 5 teachers, which they can implement in their lesson plans. They will talk about it. So when they are talking about it, this will motivate the other 5 teachers also to why not to use it. So this is a ripple effect, a domino effect, right? Digital literacy skill, recognizing the importance of digital literacy skills in the implementation of competency-based curriculum and the need for continuous professional development. So everything is so connected. Competency, digital skills, your professional development in turn will will make a 21st century learner. So this all is very much connected, and trust me, technology is the baseline for the backbone of all this. Competency based curriculum, we need to prepare a competency based curriculum wherein we are incorporating digital tools to enhance interactive learning, facilitate personalized instruction, and conduct assessments using modern technological solution. So this is just a gist what I have covered in my presentation, that collaborative learning you should encourage. You should curate your lesson plans in such a way that it facilitate personalized instruction. Every learner is different. Please, you need to understand while designing a lesson plan, you should not be making it just only for the high rankers, high scorers, or you should not be making it just for the slow learners. You need to keep in mind the entire class of yours in your mind while designing your lesson plan. So, in a way, I'm saying you need to have a personalized instruction, which you can't do it always, but you can take help from of a technology tool, as I said, as I mentioned earlier. so that you can facilitate every learner personalized in a personalized way. Now, when we combine these methods, they aim to equip teachers with the necessary skills to effectively integrate technology into their instructional strategies, ultimately improving the quality of teaching and learning outcomes. So, I'm sure you all know that NEP now talks about learning outcomes. Earlier, we used to have learning objectives in our lesson plan, but now we are starting the lesson plan only with the learning outcomes. What should be your lesson plan? What should your lesson plan achieve after you have imparted the classroom learn teaching? You have taught your students about a particular maths topic, but are your students good enough to absorb that particular topic? Are they doing the hot questions also on the same? Are they doing enough practice? Are they are able to solve the real world problems associated to that particular topic? Are they able to write critically on that particular topic if given a chance? Are they able to think what the topic is saying when it is connected to a societal level? So, while designing a lesson plan, you need to think all these pointers in a critical way. Think about the lesson, the learning outcomes, use it critically in your lesson plan. If you are thinking about the learning outcomes a lot, you are thinking about the learners a lot. And if you are thinking about the learners, definitely you will have a good lesson plan in your hand for your classroom. Use technology maximum, not in all the classes which lectures which you are conducting, but at least out of 10 use technology in at least in 6 to 7 classes while you are taking. This way you will see that your work is also reduced a lot, but rather your output has increased a lot. Your outcomes you have started achieving quickly in a better way and in a broader way, right? So please make sure that you people are using tech tool. You are integrating technology in your lesson plan, because without the technology angle in your lesson plan, your lesson plan will not be standing out. I will be ending my presentation with this beautiful thought. Technology can become the wings that will allow the educational world to fly farther and faster than ever before, but if we allow it. So, of course, we need to allow it because it's a very beautiful domain which we can integrate in our particular subject and we can do wonders. So I think I have made you little bit made you understand that why NEP is focusing so much on technology. Without technology, trust me, we will impart the lesson, we can educate our students also, but that will not be in a very collaborative, it will not be very exciting. And if it is not exciting, there is absolutely no reward for that. Reward, I'm not saying in monetary terms, but when you see happy faces, when you see your students asking questions from you, trust me, it's not a small thing for any educator. So whenever I am also using technology a lot in my classroom. I'm not saying because I am a tech person. No. I encourage my peers, I encourage my co-teachers also. If I am just roaming around and an English teacher is passing by, I will just talk to her. I will understand what all problems she is facing. And if I have any tool in my mind, I suggest, I do talk to her and suggest her that you can use this tool to improvise your classroom. This I have done, this I have done a lot. So I am asking all you all also to please start thinking in these lines, because NEP is the present It's not a past, but it's a present, and definitely it will be a big future for all of us, and we need to follow this. With this, I end my talk over here. Any questions, any thoughts anybody wants to share? Thank you for the comment, Aman and Rashmi ma'am. I just made this. Thank you, Tapsi ma'am. This was my attempt to make you all understand that if we are not very good in technology, that is not, it should not be a stopping factor for you. You people should work more towards it and make it in a such a way that you are integrating any small tech tool. If you are integrating in your subject areas, it will be giving you a big output. That is the main, a sense of this particular talk. Yeah. All right, I think we are done here. Thank you so much, everyone. It was pleasure talking to all of you. And next time, please be little more interactive. It was like very good talking to all of you together and sharing my thoughts over here, because in such a small, time, if we can talk, we can integrate what all is required. If we can understand that yes, this is the way we can bring in more freshness in our lesson plan so that our learners are happy, then definitely we will be happy. All right. Thank you so much. We can end the session, Vikrant sir.
Yeah, thank you, Priyanka ma'am, and thank you everyone for joining the session. If anyone have any doubt, they can ask.
Yeah. Rashmi ma'am is asking, how do we download our certificate, sir?
We will share certificate into WhatsApp group.
Yeah. So your certificate will come in the group only. All right. I think, okay, virtual lab, VLab is there. So you can go and search, write in Google, VLabs. Google Colab also is one, but that's sure purely for programming. But VLab, the virtual lab is there from the CBSE only. You can try this. Sir, Rashmi ma'am is asking, she is not in the group. So if you can add her, whichever
Yeah,
group.
yeah, I will add.
Yeah. So Rashmi ma'am, you will be added in the group. That will not be a problem. Okay, I think we can close this now.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Priyanka ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you so
everyone.
much. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice time ahead and looking forward to meet you all again with a new topic. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.